Welcome to lesson number 4 of our study on the book of Revelation, and today we're going to focus on the onslaught of the evil trio, the Antichrist, from Revelation chapter 13 verses 1 to 10. Now, in all the studies we use the GPS method, which is the God positioning system, because we want to know what was the message to the original receiver. We use the process of understanding, and then the second process is application. Is that message applicable or not? If it is, we communicate it in the 21st century. So let us start with our first process, which is understanding, and we use the acronym of START to get to the message to the original receiver. So the first one is situation. Now, the situation of Revelation is the following. We know that Revelation is a pastoral book in symbolic form that encourages Christians throughout the ages. Christians need encouragement because the evil trio are still busy with their evil deeds. As we saw in the previous reading, Revelation 12 verses 1 to 6, the dragon could not prevent the birth and ministry of the child. So he then focuses his attack on the woman, which is the church. According to Revelation, the dragon uses his ground staff to execute this onslaught. This brings us to the other two members of the evil trio, namely the beast out of the sea, followed by a beast out of the earth. In this section we will see how the beast from the sea, the Antichrist, is still at work today. Now our second step is type of literature. That's the T of START, and by now we know it's apocalyptic. It's a kind of writing that is highly symbolic, and we also realize that it is in block number D, and block number D is about the church is victorious because of Christ's victory. And the A of START is we analyze the passage. This is where we spend most of our time. We read the passage, we look out for symbolism and contrast, we mark the main themes, and then we try to conclude and summarize the message to the original receiver. So first, let us read. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear, and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power and his throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshipped the beast and asked, "Who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it?" The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, and to exercise its authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to blaspheme God, and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. It was given power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And it was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose names have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, the Lamb who was slain from the creation of the world. Whoever has ears, let them hear. If anyone is to go into captivity they will go. If anyone is to be killed with a sword they will be killed. This called for patience, endurance, and faithfulness on the part of God's people. I'm just going to repeat this again. Whoever has ears, let them hear. If anyone is to go into captivity they will go. If anyone is to be killed with a sword they will be killed. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of God's people. So here is the picture of the beast out of the sea, and here is the picture of the dragon. We had focused last week on the dragon from Revelation 12, and now this beast is coming out of the sea. So let us go back to verse 1 and see what's going on in this passage. So we know the dragon is the symbol for Satan, the slanderer, the opposer. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and the sea was the symbolic dwelling place of evil. Then I saw a beast coming out of the sea. Now this beast, I've just used colors to explain more about the beast. It had 10 horns, 7 heads, 10 crowns. On each head a blasphemous name. The beast I saw, it resembled a leopard, feet like those of a bear, and a mouth like that of a lion. And then it also had a fatal wound, and the fatal wound had been healed. So one can maybe ask, but what is going on here? So let us read. This was a strange animal with 10 horns and 7 heads, this beast out of the sea. The book of Daniel can help us to understand these symbols. Daniel saw 4 animals, a lion, a bear, a leopard, and a monster. The 4th animal, the monster, had 10 horns according to Daniel 7:19. The animal that John saw is a combination of the 4 animals Daniel saw in his visions. In the book of Daniel, the 4 animals were symbolic of 4 cruel world powers. The animal John saw personified the Roman Empire, which during John's time was persecuting the church cruelly. This animal is therefore the Antichrist. So now we see the beast is the Antichrist personified by the Roman Empire. The 10 horns symbolizes great power. 7 heads is the supposed perfect ability to lay plans. 10 crowns indicates supposed royal authority. Blasphemous name is godly titles they took on themselves. And then we see that there was a fatal wound. It is one of the Caesars who lost his power, and then the next one will help us. But the fatal wound had been healed. Another Caesar continued with the persecution. So the one Caesar lost his power, then there would be another one that would just continue to persecute the church. Then from verse 5, we see 3 times verse 5, 7, twice in verse 7. It was given. The beast was given. Verse 7, it was given power and it was given authority. So that emphasizes the subordinate role of the beast. It got his power from Satan. And then the beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, and to exercise its authority for 42 months. Now we know in the book of Revelation, the 42 months is the time between the first and second coming of Jesus. And then you can read Revelation 11, chapter 2, verses 2 and 3, chapter 12, 6, etc. So let us just focus a little bit on the 42 months. We've seen in last week's lesson that the woman flees to the desert, where she will suffer for 1,260 days. This period of time probably refers to the 3.5 years during which Antiochus Epiphanes cruelly persecuted the Jews. According to Daniel 7:25 and 12:7, Antiochus Epiphanes would reign only for a time, and times, and half a time. This gives us 3.5 years, which consist of 1,260 days. So we can see that his reign will only be for that time, so it will come to an end. Verse 9 and 10, whoever has ears, let them hear. If anyone is to go into captivity they will go. We don't really actually see symbolism here. And then the last line, there's a calling. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of God's people. So there's a reality out there. There's the Antichrist, and whoever has ears, let them hear. We need to be alert, but we need to be patient. We need to be faithful, because his time is limited. It will only last for 1,260 days or 42 months. Perhaps it's necessary to say something more about the Antichrist at this stage, and you're welcome to disagree. After a thorough study of these sections in the Bible that deal with the Antichrist, I believe that we can draw several conclusions about this entity. First, the Antichrist takes on different forms in different prophecies. According to Paul, the Antichrist was an individual who had not yet arrived in his days. and John's letters were written many years later. According to John's letters, the Antichrist is a group of people who advocate a dangerous heresy which originates in the church. John saw the Antichrist as a reality in his time, not as something in the distant future. And then you can read the following passage. According to Revelation 13, the Antichrist was a government, the Roman authority, that persecuted the church forcefully from AD 63. Thus, we can say that the Antichrist is mainly opposed to Christ and his ministry, and that he should therefore be regarded as the false Messiah of Satan. Secondly, the Antichrist imitates Jesus. The 10 crowns symbolize the false Messiah's supposed royal authority. The blasphemous names on his head allude to the claims the false messiahs, Roman Caesars, made to enable them to use godly titles. In the same way, the Lamb of God was slaughtered. The animal has scars on his head. However, his deadly wound had healed. This might refer to one of the Caesars who persecuted the church and then lost his power. The wound had healed when another Caesar continued to persecute the church. People follow the Antichrist and worship him because they are deeply impressed by his power and his wondrous scars. He rules the world and deceives people. So to conclude, we have the Antichrist takes on different forms. Paul says it is an individual entity. John's letters, it's a group of people. In Revelation, it's a government. But it is anyone who is actually against Christ is Antichrist. And then the Antichrist imitates Jesus. We have the 10 crowns, the blasphemous names, and the wound. So now we can just move a little bit out of the passage to see what's going on. So we see the first 3 verses is about the beast. It's a deadly, or a dangerous animal, the Antichrist. And what was the result? People worship the dragon and the beast because they ask, who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it? And then verse 5, 6, 7, and 8, we see that 5, 6, and 7 is also about the beast. That's why it's A. It was given authority to exercise its authority only for 42 months or 1,260 days. And then all the inhabitants of the earth, except those whose names had been written in the Lamb's Book of Life, did not worship the Antichrist, but worship the Lamb. So people worship the dragon and the beast. Now we have verse 9 and 10, and we see that verse 9 and 10 can be summarized. Christians must accept also difficulties of being a Christian. Christianity must never be defended with force. And then the last line, a Christian's weapon is endurance and faithfulness. Then we conclude and summarize the message. Then we realize even today Satan uses anti-Christian authorities to oppress the church. However, the encouraging news is that this onslaught will only last for a short period of time. To be a Christian is not always easy, but a Christian should never repay anyone evil for evil. God's people must have faith and not give up. Now we just ask ourselves, does this message relate to the rest of the Bible? If we read Romans 12 and many other passages, we do see it relates. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Romans chapter 12. And verse 17, do not repay anyone evil for evil. And 1 Thessalonians 5, Christ died for us so that, whether we are dead or alive when he returns, we can live with him forever. So encourage each other and build each other up, just as you are already doing. So we can see it relates to the rest of the Bible. Then we just want to test our findings, reading a commentary or a study Bible. Then we do realize we are on the right track. Now we just need to determine whether it's applicable or not. And we realize this is an essential. It's not an incidental. Therefore we apply it in the 21st century. You can have a discussion in the small group. You can just pause the video and discuss the following questions.